Welcome back to the 2022 Retail Technology Show. I'm Mike Giambattista. I'm here at the FreedomPay block. And at the moment I'm speaking with Dan Rogers, who is founder of QikServe. And if you don't know, and I have to confess some ignorance here, I wasn't entirely familiar with what QikServe does. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. But Dan, first of all, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Very well.
So even though we've just been through a lot of this, I would love it if you wouldn't mind expanding on what QikServe is and does in this marketplace.
Yeah, so QikServe is an e-commerce platform for hospitality, and we enable operators to generate digital sales from customers that are either on their premise or off premise. So if they're on premise, we can facilitate mobile ordering through QR codes, NFC tags. We can facilitate pay at table. We also have a software product that customers can order on a third-party bit of hardware, like a self-service kiosk, like you see in McDonald's and the like. And then for off-premise journeys, we allow customers that are not on your restaurant floor or bar or catering establishment to order and collect or have something delivered to them. And really, QikServe's built on a powerful set of APIs that underpins it. And that connectivity layer, anybody can access, and they can access it through our own channels, or they can build channels on top of it. And overall, we're integrated to around 80 different hospitality technologies around the world.
That's a lot of tech to keep track of.
It's such a huge thing for us. But what it means though is we can really simplify the experience for operators. We can take the complexity out of implementing digital solutions, because in all likelihood we can interface with existing legacy tech, but it's not really like still up-to-date current technology, right? So we can take some of that complexity away and then really kind of distill it down to how we manage that data that's running through a hospitality business. Last year, QikServe processed almost $500 million in sales for our customers, and we served 23 million end consumers. So the people ordering from their home, when they're in a restaurant. All through the pandemic, we facilitated operators to generate sales in what was a hugely challenging time for the industry.
Sure. You mentioned a moment ago that the company is now 11 years old.
Yes.
So 2011, you started this.
That's right.
I wouldn't mind just talking for a moment about some of the changes you've seen in that period, because in my view, they've been radical.
Without a doubt. If I think back to 2011, 2012, when we came up with the idea of using a QR code in a bar or restaurant to order, and we went on to patent that solution and got the patent granted in 2015. But when I was around talking to hospitality operators back then, I think most of them thought I had two heads, and the whole industry has really kind of moved on, and the pandemic, it was already accelerating towards that, but the pandemic kind of really got operators to see the possibilities around getting customers to order themselves. Customers were really already on that track. But I think you're right, it's a completely monumental transformation that's happened over the last 10 years. And a lot of it's been data driven. I think from an operator's perspective, the more they see value coming out from taking what was an anonymous transaction to one where they start to know about a customer, it makes a huge difference. Because a cash transaction is completely anonymous, right? Nobody knows who you are, and some people like that about cash, but like it doesn't in the long term make a better experience for you. And then a card payment is slightly more personal, but digital payment from a person's own device, you start to learn so much more about them. And I think that is what is really exciting with hospitality operators in particular, just the opportunities around what can be done, both from a service perspective and then also how do I know my customer, and payments is like the core, obviously.
It's the core, it's exactly right. Yeah. So I'm interested because you interact with a big chunk of the ecosystem. That chain, a lot of that is really within your purview. So you probably have a view to what's working and what's not working so well. You probably have a really good view to where things are going, at least in the short term. So I'll put it this way, since you have the perspective you do, within the hospitality world, what is it that you would like brands to know about now, or what should they be planning on in the next 12 to 24 months that means they should be having a conversation with you now?
I think it's a really great question. I think it's probably quite a wide question. I think the first thing I would say to operators is we, as a business, we know that a lot of operators were bounced into certain solutions because they had to move really, really quickly during the pandemic. I think what we're seeing across our business is that operators are now starting to take a breath, like understanding the impact of what happened over the last 2 years. And then for the best bit of advice is kind of go back to your core values, your core brand values. Understand what it is that makes your brand exciting or makes your brand personal to customers, and then try and build your digital journeys on top of that brand experience first. Lots of businesses had to throw away their brand experience in order to just get sales, right? Just to survive.
At least walk away from it temporarily, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So now they've got a real opportunity. They know customers love digital. They know the data that they can get from it. They know how streamlined it's become. One of our brands in the UK really kind of grasped this concept of building on top of their brand experience, and rather than go full order and pay at table, they just looked at payment. Like how do I get a customer to easily pay their bill and walk out of a restaurant? And we worked with them and their back-end technology to make something that was really seamless, that pulled the customer data through into their existing technology. And that really kind of struck a chord with that operator. They saw how much value was in that. Now, 95% of all checks are paid on the customer's own mobile phone with a QR code. So there's hardly any PIN entry devices in that restaurant group at all. And I think that just goes to show the power of kind of digital transformation that can be achieved, but it has to be achieved from an understanding of what problems do I want to solve for my customers, and what did I learn from the pandemic in terms of customer behavior through a digital transaction, and then build something that represents your brand.
So QikServe is doing a lot more than, as we said, it's not just a payments provider, payment service provider, but there's an entire, call it stack, that you're influencing. Does QikServe actually, do you help design tech stacks for retailers? Does it go that deep, or is it more about the tech exists in-house already, and QikServe comes alongside to make it more efficient, more customer friendly?
Yeah, I think for us it's about trying to build those journeys on top of what other people already have. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater when someone wants to undertake a digital transformation. What we want to do is build on top of that great tech. They've chosen FreedomPay as a payment provider for a very good reason, right? And we're partnered with FreedomPay for a very good reason. It's really good underlying technology that's able to surface customers lots and lots of data. And so what we wouldn't necessarily try and influence a tech strategy. Of course, we've seen good and bad, and we can steer people away from things that don't work. But I think the benefit that we've accumulated over the years is really understanding how tech fits together. Oracle Point of Sale, for example, I think we're probably one of the longest Oracle point of sale partners around, and we really understand that technology just as we understand FreedomPay's technology. And we do go deep when we partner with people, which I think is a real advantage for us as a business.
Well, I think we touched on this before we went official here on live, but I know that FreedomPay speaks really highly of you and QikServe, almost abnormally so. But I think that's to your credit, and of course FreedomPay, because FreedomPay I think takes the same approach. When we're going to establish a partnership, we go deep, we make it meaningful, we try and understand the culture and motivations behind all that, and build the tech around to support that. So that's a mouthful, but at the end of it, there's a theme that's been surfacing throughout the day, which has to do with partnerships and the idea that being an effective solutions provider is no longer strictly a function of having the right tech portfolio so much as it's having the right, call it, partner portfolio.
Yeah, I think if I reflect on FreedomPay as a partner, I think we share a lot of values around how we respond to customers. Like we respond, QikServe's always been a kind of agile responder, not at all costs, but like we always try to be the tech leader in the room, and then when you combine that with other people that share that vision of doing the right thing for the customer and building great technology that supports customer journeys and operators, that I think our best partnerships are where we're aligned more strongly, and FreedomPay is definitely one example of that, I would say, where we've got really good alignment on like our customer base and the type of technology that we want to do. And it's open as well. We'll say when things aren't working, and you'll tell us when things aren't working, and when they're working great, we'll also kind of come together. So I think that is the true basis of why we're successful. And obviously I think it makes it easier when our teams can work together much easier as well. And I know that our team have great relationships with FreedomPay teams, so.
Good group of people. Haven't met your team yet, but I'm sure they are as well.
You can definitely come up to Edinburgh. We'll take you out. You'll meet them all.
Well, Dan Rogers, thank you so much. Dan is, just to reiterate, Dan is founder of QikServe, longtime partner for FreedomPay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's been a real pleasure.
Really appreciate it.